Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. In these last few chapters of One Piece, we've seen that Luffy has managed to become a Yonko, and has earned himself a rather huge bounty of 3 billion berries. But we don't know exactly how much the bounty of the other Straw Hats are going to be after this whole conflict in Onigashima against Big Mom and Kaido, which means that the remaining Straw Hats may have gotten much larger rewards, in which Oda is just going to keep them hidden until the end or, just beginning of this next arc, where he might reveal these new bounties and rewards to us. But with the crew possessing such a large bounty overall, this could make the Straw Hats one of the most valuable and dangerous crews in the world, and it may in the future possess the largest bounty ever seen. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the new Straw Hat bounties, what they did to get their bounties increased, and the only dead reward that they may earn very soon. But before we dive into the video, if you're new to the channel, we'd be absolutely honored if you'd leave us a like, or even consider subscribing with a comment and maybe let us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out and motivates us to make more content, and if you'd like to help us out in a bigger way, consider sharing the video or the channel with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So friends, in the past, Gold D. Roger was of course the most wanted pirate and man in the world, possessing the largest bounty in the world, but also, as we saw, his reward was offered and it was valid if he was alive or dead, as well as pretty much every other existing bounty that was out there. But there might be the possibility that the Straw Hats could be the first pirate crew that would get the reward of only dead in history, being the most feared crew in the world because these crew members and captain are extremely dangerous to the world structure. After all they know and will discover, and all the secrets that are yet to be revealed but they will get through, plus the fact that Luffy has a legendary devil fruit with a secret that hasn't fully been revealed yet, this makes this crew exceptionally dangerous to the world government and the whole world as a whole. Roger during the past was a really powerful pirate, and he managed to become king of the pirates because he made it to the final island. But he really didn't ever present the same danger that Luffy now presents to the world government. I mean, Roger was a strong pirate, don't get me wrong, and he had his ambitions and he did things no other person did with his crew in the world. But he still doesn't fundamentally kind of address, the same kind of levels of danger that Luffy has. Luffy's not just another simple pirate. I mean, he managed to obtain this legendary fruit that gave him the ability to use the power of the sun god Nika. And he's also managed to become, or at least inherit, the title of Joy Boy, a concept that we haven't fully had explained yet, but something that really has important implications not only to the future, but also really echoes back to the past. Besides having several important and powerful allies around the world, Luffy is even friends with at least one of the ancient weapons in the world, of course, this being Poseidon, who is currently Princess Shirahoshi of the Fishman Island. Thus, Luffy is one of the pirates with more influence in the world, but the world government really doesn't know the full and, most important strength that Luffy has. But this last arc, things might change because they now know what is this real power that Luffy has and how he draws his allies to him. Luffy, along with his allies and the entire ninja, mink, samurai, whole collective, were not only able to defeat 2 Yonko, but also they brought down pretty much the entire crew of Kaido. And so they're going to be recognized as a major threat to the world government. However, the threat that he currently demonstrates, at least at first, isn't going to be as great. Because if you think about it, I mean, they're going to consider Luffy and his crewmates exceptionally strong, especially for having brought down a Yonko. And not only is the Navy and the world government gonna kind of see the Straw Hats for what they are, if we really brought it down to it, there still would be no match for Roger's old crew yet. I think they're close, but they're probably not there. Otherwise, we'd be at the end of the manga, right? So there's still growth, and I think that's going to be a really interesting, thing that we get to see, because there's several crew members that still kind of need their own, personal growth arc. So although the world government might have viewed Luffy and his crew as, kind of worth of notice and worth watching, with the awakening of his fruit, Luffy has now become a major threat to the Gorosei, because the power that he currently possesses, at least in the past, was a major threat. So knowing that the incredible power of the sun god Nika is now alive and well in Luffy, Luffy's become the most wanted pirate today. Also, because Luffy was able to defeat Kaido, who had the highest bounty pretty much of anyone alive, his title is not only going to pass to Luffy, but his bounty is bound to surpass that of Kaido, Big Mom, Teach, and maybe, really not coming close to Shanks yet, but getting there, because it still seems that Shanks now may have the highest bounty of any Yonko alive. Moving on to the crew, Zoro and Sanji were each able to defeat King and Queen, who were two of the strongest pirates in Kaido's crew, and their bounties were really quite high, so we could see that these two Straw Hats are gonna get their bounties maybe even matched, if not maybe a skosh higher than King and Queen. With just those 3 people, it would make the Straw Hats crew even more wanted and, pretty much get, up to maybe one of the most valuable crews out there. However, it wasn't just these 3, the Monster Trio, who managed to defeat pirates from Kaido's crew. Other Straw Hats managed to defeat very strong pirates and made really kind of clutch moves to make the whole raid effective and successful. We can't forget how Nico Robin managed to defeat Black Maria. Now, although this may not be as much of a, kind of punchy, hitty kind of, battle like in other places in the story, Robin still had an immensely great action sequence. And this was not only a physical battle, but also a planning and sneaky, kind of battle where it was more, including a battle of wits. So Black Maria is nothing to scoff at, and she also had a pretty decent bounty for being a member of Kaido's crew. So again, we might see Nico Robin come up to at least, if not more than Black Maria, because especially of the Ohara connection she has. Now, one thing we don't necessarily know is if, say, Jinbei's gonna get credit for defeating Who's Who, depending on Who's Who really is in the eyes of the world government, or, Frankie taking down Sasaki, because they both did have bounties, and especially depending on Who's Who is, that could actually bring, Jinbei, somebody who's already got a decent bounty himself, further increases. Along with Frankie, who, when you see the level of his technology, that might make the world government take notice, because maybe Frankie's the only one who can outthink the SSG, which is still kind of their ace in the hole that they haven't really revealed to everybody yet. Thinking about the rest of the crew, when we're talking about Nami, Chopper, Brook, anybody else that's there, we don't necessarily know how they're gonna get credit, but we know that everyone really is gonna be recognized for, whether delaying or outthinking or just straight up defeating, the parts of whether it's Big Mom's pirates or Kaido's crew. So any way you slice it, I think we're gonna see some good, decent bumps. I hope really Chopper really gets a little more respect and love, because really, he's not the, crew pet. We all know this. He was the one who also stopped the Isoni virus, so maybe Chopper gets a little more love now and isn't just seen as the crew pet. Now, one thing we're curious about is how long the world government has been watching Luffy and really been thoughtful about his bounty increases, because do they really know about his fruit? Did they know that the Gomu Gomu no Mi was the alternate name for what the Nika Nika no Mi is? Just going back and recounting his kind of bounty levels, the very first bounty he got was in East Blue, and it ended up being the highest of any pirate, and this was his first bounty, and this is just after a confrontation with Nezumi. Now, no calculation was used for Luffy's bounty to become this amount, it just boom was there on the board, which makes you wonder if they really had some thoughts going on in the background. Of course, the next time Luffy's bounty went up was after he managed to defeat Crocodile, who was when the warlord system was still going. Now, after Crocodile's fall, he was arrested, and the future of, this group of powerful pirates, these warlords, was really questioned about, whether it could be one of the 3 pillars in the world, being the Yonko, the Navy, and the Shishibukai, or, warlords of the sea. Something also important to note and wonder as well is after Crocodile's fall, he had to be arrested by the world government. There was no option, because publicly it was shown that he was doing very bad things, and the world government had to at least save face. So they had to lock Crocodile up and remove his post. And it makes you wonder, as Luffy's gone through and kind of shown a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, if that was one of the reasons why we saw a dissolution of the warlord system. The third increase in Luffy's bounty was when he was leading the attack on Enies Lobby. And also, just in that whole kind of, battle, Luffy single-handedly managed to defeat over 1,000 sailors who were running towards him, and this was with his Conqueror's Haki, as well as being able to manage to defeat Rob Lucci and Bluno from CP9. And after, of course, all of this, Luffy's bounty was increased again. Now, this not only had the effect of him being sought more worldwide by the world government and the admirals, but other famous pirates started taking note of Luffy's accomplishments. Now, we even have seen Shanks has been extremely proud how Luffy's grown and how he's seen his bounty grow, and he knew that he was chasing his dreams, and so with every increase in bounty, Luffy has become more and more well-known not only to the world, but also getting closer to fulfilling that promise he made to Shanks. Of course, after the Enies Lobby incident, we also saw very big jumps in the rest of the crew's bounty, especially Zoro and Sanji, who had also worked and defeated many different adversaries, as well as having picked up Nico Robin in the crew overall. The fourth bounty increase that Luffy got occurred after attacking a celestial dragon and then causing a mass breakout of many prisoners from Impel Down, as well as then participating in the Battle of the Best in Marineford along Whitebeard's pirates and all the chaos that was going on that battlefield. During the Battle of Marineford, it is also publicly revealed that Monkey D. Dragon was his father and that Garp, the hero of the Navy, was his grandfather. And just that name and family recognition alone caused his bounty to be increased to 400 million berries. But this ended up being the only kind of increase that Luffy got because really the rest of the Straw Hats weren't involved, and also because of the relationship to Garp, that was really one of the things that was a great revelation and probably caused most of the, boost in his bounty. But of course, we do end up seeing this happen to somebody else. And this, of course, is Sanji in the future when we kind of have to go to the Whole Cake Island arc. After they discover his real origin and his ties to Germa 66, his bounty increases. So it seems like the more popular your relatives or your family are, or infamous, the more bounty you tend to get. But heading on back to Luffy's bounty, we saw his fifth increase come with a 500 million berry reward after fighting alongside Law and defeating the Don Quixote pirates, and of course, Doflamingo in Dressrosa. And this earned him great recognition from the Navy because, of course, they knew that he was there and bringing down a tyrant. So even though they're pirates and were bad guys, we even saw in those moments that Fujitora had his own issues with kind of trying to arrest them, even though they had done just great works previously for that whole, country. And again, in that same arc, the rest of the Straw Hats saw an increase in their bounties for participating in helping their captain defeat Doflamingo's pirates. One standout was Zoro, who of course was responsible for defeating a very powerful pirate during the arc, which of course was Pika and Monet. Pika being where, we have the whole cutting stone kind of, reflection from Zoro. So slowly but surely, this entire crew's bounty level has just eked up, and now as we see these things, the Straw Hats are becoming more and more famous, as not only there are more things that they're doing, there's been more time for their story to spread. And of course, Morgan's is, doing some heavy lifting as well. And not only was this amazing feat in Dressrosa seen as a good deed, it was the way that it was viewed by everybody, and the Straw Hats got more credibility as just a whole because of what they were able to do. And of course, at the end of it, we saw the formation of the Straw Hat Fleet, where everybody pledges their allegiance to Luffy, and now kind of brings this amazingly powerful group of pirates that are always willing to fight alongside Luffy, no matter who the enemy is. However, since the fleet didn't end up following Luffy when they went to Wano, this kind of begs the question of where they might be now, and what could they be up to? They in fact could be sailing the world right now, kind of liberating territories and spreading the word of Luffy and making him more famous. And it could even be because of this Straw Hat Fleet that Luffy was even more greatly thought of for the position of Yonko. Because as we've mentioned in other videos, it's not just something, okay, you defeat a Yonko, now you're a Yonko. There has to be other things. You have to have territory, you have to have a vast network of sailors, you have to have a fleet. You can't just be somebody who came and knocked out a Yonko. So these are some of the things that could be more validating to Luffy as a legitimate, warlord of the sea. And also a really nice kind of comical opportunity is that if the Straw Hat Fleet is indeed out there claiming territories and freeing people because they know how Luffy and the Straw Hats roll, they could be out there and Luffy doesn't know all of the different places that he now has under his kind of banner. And so his fame is being increased, although he's not doing anything, but it also could be a really funny moment for him to find out that all of this has happened without him ever saying so. Moving on to Luffy's penultimate bounty increase. Of course, this was due to the huge mess that Luffy and the Straw Hats caused on Whole Cake Island. And Luffy also managed to defeat Charlotte Cracker, who had a bounty of 860 million berries. And of course, the main man of the arc, Charlotte Katakuri, who had a bounty of 1,000,000,000 57 million berries. So at the very least, we can see that there is a connection between the things that one does against the world government and the larger of a bounty that the pirate gets. I mean, after all, the world government is supposed to be the absolute power in the world of One Piece. So with all that put together, Luffy is now presenting probably one of the greatest dangers to the world, not only becoming a Yonko and having perhaps multiple territories at his command, and all that with what he's done in Wano, he has finally obtained the reward and bounty of 3 billion berries, being one of the most wanted pirates in the world. And thinking about what could happen at the end of this arc, and not knowing how much further the Straw Hat bounties could go up, this is gonna be really a huge boost, and the Straw Hats as a group could be the very most wanted pirates in the world by the Navy and the world government, and now they're even scarier because they're a Yonko crew and thus highly dangerous. In these last couple chapters, we've seen that the Navy is now kind of determined to capture these pirates who have been causing this huge amount of trouble, especially Luffy, in which Akainu and Ryukugyu and maybe even Kizaru may be on a quest to capture him, because if one of them managed to capture Luffy, their fame would skyrocket within the Navy. Never has an admiral before been able to defeat a Yonko alone. So if they could accomplish this, they could maybe even look at moving themselves on up to Fleet Admiral in the future, if not immediately. I mean, who knows? They could even go crazy and invent some whole new kind of level for them. I mean, this is the world government we're talking about. And with the end of this Wano arc and where the Straw Hats are gonna look like, we don't know how this is all gonna play out. And also, let's add on top of that when the Navy discovers Luffy's real power and his relationship to Nika the Sun God or Joy Boy, and all of this mystery and lore that reaches back, 800 years and maybe even longer. So maybe with this power, with this Sun God Nika awakening, we could see Luffy and the Straw Hats obtain one thing that we've never seen anyone really get in the world of One Piece. And that could be the bounty level with the words, "only dead." Meaning that the only way someone collects their reward is if they're captured and brought in dead. Because the amount of difficulty that it would be to capture them alive and not be, a further global threat, that means that they may actually respond to this great act with an even greater level of pressure and threat on our Straw Hat crew. But for now, we would love to know what you think about it. What do you think the new bounties in the Straw Hat crew are gonna get? And do you think that they could get something because maybe they're gonna eventually present more of a danger than just Roger? Could they get that only dead moniker? And also, just for my sake, do you think that Chopper will finally get his kind of due because of, defeating the whole Isoni virus thing? I mean, will Chopper finally be viewed as the ship's doctor and not the ship's pet? And I'm hoping you're with me on this, but I'd love to see Chopper get some love in terms of the bounty category. But other than that, that's about all we have for you folks. So as we wrap things up, friends, I want to thank you so much for watching the video all the way to the very end. Make sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like or hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I hope to see you all in our next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.